Central Maine Power's latest rate proposal could reduce customers' electric bills this summer, but consumer advocates say the plan still points to higher costs ahead. CMP says the average residential customer would see a bill decrease of about $4 a month starting in July. The company said that reflects the end of temporary charges tied to severe storms in 2023 and 2024, along with this new one-year rate proposal. But Maine's Office of the Public Advocate said customers otherwise would be on track for a larger decrease of about $11 a month beginning in July if storm-related costs expired and no new temporary rates were added. She says the new proposal would offset much of that relief. CMP defended the filing as a way to provide near-term relief while continuing investments to improve reliability. CMP is also asking for new distribution revenue that critics say would turn temporary relief into lasting increases. State regulators must approve any rate changes before they take effect.